everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Use of Pens podcast. I'm your host, Tristen, and we have the parents here.
Hello.
Per usual. And we have special guests here on the podcast. We have Tia and Trevor from Trev's Trades. You guys can say hello.
Hi. Can you say hello?
Hello.
Perfect. Thanks for being on. So Trev's Trades is, I'm just going to actually, whoa, let me say that again because I knocked my microphone. Can you guys tell us a little bit about Trev's Trades, if you don't mind?
Sure. Trevor, what do you do? What do you do?
I make soaps.
You make soaps. That's right. So Trevor is a young adult with autism and multiple disabilities, and he makes artisanal soaps. Right, Trevor? And we've been doing it for, well, he's been making soaps for probably 6 years, and we've been doing it as a business for about 3.5 years. Okay, you can go get a snack. Do you want to say hi for a little bit and then go get one?
Trev, I want to know how old you are.
How old are you?
24.
That's right. Say it again.
24.
24.
Nice.
Perfect.
Our Trent's little brother's 24 also.
Great.
His name's TJ.
TJ. Nice.
He'll be 25 next week, though. When's your birthday, Trev?
July 7th.
Oh, you guys are very close in age.
July 7th. Yep. And Trevor was born a very small little baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember how much you weighed when you were born?
No.
Remember? Little teeny tiny. 1
Pound.
1 pound, 7 ounces. That's right.
Wow.
Okay. He was born at 26 weeks. I think Trevor will be leaving us now and going to get a snack.
Okay.
So you get me now. So
Sure.
So yeah, so that's how he came into the world, which was a lot from day one, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, but and so we knew fairly early on that he would have, or more than likely would have, disabilities. To what level we didn't know, but he did have. When you're born that early, you're just not ready to be here yet. And so his biggest medical complication he had multiple different surgeries. He had to have open heart surgery day 3. So if you can imagine a tiny 1 pound, 7 ounce baby going through open heart surgery, it still makes me weepy eyed.
Yeah.
So why don't you take those out in the kitchen with the girls? Okay. And so, and then he had an intraventricular hemorrhage in the brain, which crosses the motor cortex. And so that was a grade 3.5. They grade them 1 through 4, 4 being catastrophic, and they stop all life support.
Wow.
So we were right there.
Wow.
So, but, he just kept surviving. They told us, we don't expect him to live through the night. We don't expect him to live through the day. The the days passed, and 101 days later, we came home.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So does he have any physical disabilities because of that?
He has mild CP, but to be quite honest, it's remarkable that he doesn't have more of physical disabilities and then also lung issues, because the lungs just aren't developed at all at 26 weeks, especially 24 years ago, right? They don't, the modern technology and medical advances keep moving forward. And, but 24 years ago, that was pretty much the limit of viability was about a 26 weeker. And especially one that was so small like Trevor. So because of his birth weight being so small, on top of it, he really wasn't expected to survive. And so we just took it one day at a time. When we left the hospital, the doctor said, he'll never walk, he'll never talk, he'll be wheelchair bound, he won't have cognitive abilities. kind of this big doom and gloom type prognosis, which was, hard to hear as a mom. But I also thought at the time, Trevor's here and we don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what you say. We're taking this little boy home. Goodness, I don't know why I'm emotional about this today. I think I haven't talked about it in so long. It's just got me. Woo.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we took him home and I just said, we will do the best we can. And we're not going to place limits or boundaries. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So by age, he wasn't walking or talking or moving at any of the milestones. Just, he just wasn't strong enough to do any of those kind of things. So it really wasn't until he was about almost 4-year-old, when he actually started walking pretty independently. And then it was about that time when language started a little bit. But it was still maybe, a word approximation, one word, if that. And so, but we, just kept moving forward and we never gave up hope and we never said he won't or can't. And I think that's huge for parents that are in this position with our children, right? We have to find that hope and that drive to keep moving forward. And that's always been kind of the thought process that I've approached it with. And now we're 24 years into it. So
Right.
That's so funny. We joke about, I have 3 other children that are mostly neurotypical. They're all a little weird, but we joke about Trent having the diagnosis and being nonverbal and all of these issues that we faced with him and when he was young, and yet now he employs people. Right. And he has this big following and he has like all of these things. We're like, who would have thought? Like,
Isn't that amazing?
It's a huge thing. Yeah, you get these terrible diagnoses or you get this stuff that's thrown at you and people are saying, oh, he'll never do this or that she'll never do that or whatever. And you just don't know. And as soon as we start limiting and going, well, this, we might as well just give up, then you're done,
Right. I couldn't agree more. I think you always have to, you can't give up. And you can't accept the limitations that other people give you. I think you have to be realistic. You have to listen. You have to understand that there will be hurdles and challenges and life is going to look different. But that doesn't mean it's still not like a wonderful life.
Yeah.
And that Trevor's accomplishments might look different than somebody else's accomplishments, but they are celebrated with joy and excitement. And, we are thrilled every time he does whatever he does, right? It's just that kind of acceptance and encouragement. And I think parents need to hear that.
Yeah.
I know I sure did at the time. And there wasn't a lot out there 24 years ago. Social media was pretty new. And so there just wasn't communities of people that you could tap into as readily as you can now. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. We do too. We felt so alone for so many years, not knowing anyone with a child with autism anywhere close to the level of Trent's, the support that he needs. And it's a lonely road, and we're really happy to be there for other parents who reach out to us and ask for advice, or they just don't want to feel alone. They want to know there's light at the end of the tunnel. They want to know my kid can do these things, whether it looks that way right now or not.
Well, and even having folks like you on the podcast, they're people that listen and watch, because don't we put those on YouTube and stuff too? And so parents of not just kids with different challenges and needs, but we have a lot of people who don't have kids or don't have kids with challenges who watch and listen. And so that's just a good word for everybody. Like,
I agree. I think the parenting journey, no matter what parent and what spectrum or where you are on it, comes with challenges, right? And we all need support, and we all need to be able to feel as families and as individuals and our children that there is support and kindness out there for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that we have found on social media, because we certainly weren't social media people before we started Trev's Trades, is we've been met with such kindness. And, you know, we've been met with just this outpouring of support and just really wonderful people that share great stories with us. And hopefully we're giving that back on some small level also, right? So that people feel like they are connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Something I noticed in you that I see in my parents is not to rip off Nike, but they always say, like, you just do it. You know, it's people say, oh, I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you do that. And they always have said, you just do it. This is what life has given you, and you do with it the best that you can. And I've certainly taken that with me in my life too. So thank you for being that way.
So we got one thing. We did.
That's great.
One thing we did right.
That's the one thing. Yeah, that's the one thing she got. Yep.
The one thing in your whole parenting journey, just do it, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, people would just say to us, I don't know how you do it. I couldn't have done it. And we're like, you would have done what you had to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you just would.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
If you're any kind of parent anyway.
Right.
You know, you just.
Right. If you're an involved parent, you're going to do it because you love your child, and you're going to get in there and you're going to do what you can for them. So I agree. I think that just do it attitude fills our buckets and keeps us motivated and keeps us moving forward for sure. I know it does for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mom and dad, and you guys can speak on this too if you want, but didn't have really any entrepreneurial background,
business background.
Maybe even desire. I don't know. Before they started Drawings by Trent, did you have any entrepreneurial background, or were you interested at all in that before Trev's Trades?
None whatsoever. We didn't have anything. We didn't start out to start a business. That was never the intent. That wasn't even on my radar. It wasn't anything that I had ever thought of. And it came out of hardship, to be quite honest with you. School, Trevor was in a school that had worked really well for a while. And as he got older, they changed the model of their education, and it just wasn't working for him anymore. And it got to be to where it was more detrimental than beneficial for him. And so about a year before COVID hit, I finally just said, enough is enough. Like he's not happy here. He's not progressing. In fact, he's regressing. He started exhibiting self-injurious behaviors that we'd never even seen before, just a lot of really hard things. And, I was talking to one of our doctors, and she asked Trevor about school, and he got very upset. And he covered his mouth and he said, no school, no talk, no talk. And she was like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what we're dealing with.
How old was he at that time?
She got us into some trauma-based therapy, and we did trauma therapy for 2 years with Trevor.
Wow.
And a lot of stuff came out that was really hard. So we started homeschooling and doing private therapies and, anything we could find that he was interested in. And so part of what he was interested in, I just started buying all of these kits because anything that looked academic, he was so opposed to it and so resistant to it and would get so upset that I just thought, okay, we have to step way back.
Yeah.
But I come from a teaching background. I had taught for 10 years before Trevor was born. So I'm like, we'll do project-based learning. Like, I love project-based learning. Let's just incorporate it in that way. So we got all these different kits, and one of them happened to be a soap making kit, and Trevor really liked it. So he started watching YouTube videos and was just kind of interested in the process. So we bought a few more supplies. We started doing it a little bit. And it just pretty soon, you know, the whole family had more soap than they ever thought they needed in their lifetime.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, we hit the neighborhood and we started giving it to all the neighbors. And then we went to the next neighborhood and the next neighborhood. And we just kind of started here and kept going out.
Yeah.
And one of our neighbors said to Trevor, these are really good, Trevor. You're getting good. You could sell these. And Trevor was like, oh, I can make money.
Ding, ding, ding.
And I thought, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And that was about when COVID started. And so we were like, oh gosh. So we were just, you know, all of a sudden life became very close and very tight and very at home. And we just kept making soap, and his cousins set up a little website for him, and we started selling online, and they set up a little Facebook page. I didn't even know how to set up a Facebook page. I didn't even know how to set up a website. Like I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. And so his high school cousins helped us and got those things set up, and we just kind of started. And we had no idea what we were doing, right?
Yeah.
And so we started without a business license, without any sort of like structure of a business. We didn't have a business bank account. We didn't like nothing. We just kind of started. And then as it grew, I thought, well, we better figure this out, because this isn't the best way to do business. And I think we could get in trouble if we're not doing things according to regulations. So we were accepted into an entrepreneur program that is for individuals with disabilities. Oh. And Trevor was accepted into a 12-week program that helps you set up and start a business. And that's really what gave us like the fundamentals of what are we supposed to do? How are we supposed to do it? How are we going to make sure that we're, you know, following all the law and doing all of that kind of stuff? And they helped us set up our LLC and, you know, those kind of things. And that was kind of when I first thought, well, this could really be something. You know, this could be something for Trevor that he could do and he enjoys doing. And I think we're still learning. We're, like I said, about 3 years into it. And so, you know, and it's just Trevor and I. So, you know, there's a lot of different moving pieces within all of it that you have to figure out, that I'm sure you're well aware of in your journeys also. So, I feel like we're making progress, but we still are learning as we go.
Yeah. As are we, learning.
Yeah.
Nearly every day.
Right.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. There's a lot of moving pieces, aren't there? A lot of behind the scenes that people don't see. You know,
right.
They see, I was going to have Trevor show his soaps, but they see a finished bar of soap, right? They see a t-shirt from Trent or a coloring book and are excited to support that. The reality is that this bar of soap or your t-shirt, what it takes to get to this point is pretty intensive.
Yes.
But for us, it's really been a wonderful thing, because it's given Trevor really this remarkable sense of purpose.
Right.
And self-worth, which I think so often our young adults with disabilities struggle to ever find.
Mm-hmm.
So how old was he when you started homeschooling?
He was 18. So in California, he could have stayed in school till he was 22.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of, and I think most places are like that they can stay
21 or 22.
Correct. Yeah. I think some places it's a little longer, but in California, it's 22. And so, and we still do a version of homeschool still to this day, because I think learning is lifelong and there's no reason not to. And if he's happy to do it, he does it. And so, he's in a book club and they read a book and they're reading The Wizard of Oz and they all read together and then they do their things. And it's great, right?
That's really cool.
So those kind of things. And then we've also incorporated within Trev's trades is, job skill development. So Trevor has a time card he has to fill out. He has to do a budget. He has to, when he gets his paycheck, he has to divide it up so that he's got household expense money, savings, and then personal spending, all of that type of stuff. So I've incorporated all of those kind of things within the backside of Trev's trades so that if for some reason in the future, Trevor decides, I don't want to make soap, like this has to be his choice, in my opinion.
Right.
And so if he decides that he's done and this isn't for him, I want him to have some skills to go into something else with if he chooses to. So we have instituted like a work ethic. And we talk about what a work ethic is. And we talk about that a lot and what you have to be ready to work. And these are the things that have to be done in order for your workday to start. And, just basic things, but yet really important skills that are not taught and they don't have access to necessarily. So, how do you keep your schedule going? What does that look like? What do we need to do for inventory? All of those things, Trevor's involved in them on as much as he can be on each level. And so we started a level and then he has to, as he masters that skill, we just kind of keep bumping him up. And I think that's been really wonderful to see and watch also, is just that development and that understanding of basic business skills that are so important in just everyday life skills too.
So he has an understanding of money.
He does. When we first started, we're just at a pivotal point where we're going to be transitioning it out. So when we first started, Trevor, he would get his paycheck. He was like, oh, great money, but he never had to really buy anything on his own. So I stepped way back and I was just like, you have your own spending money. You want to go out to lunch? Yeah, we'll go, but you're going to buy your own lunch. And if you want to go shopping, great, you can use your money and go shopping. And so it's taken us several years, but he now has that concept. And we started with cash. So everything was done in cash. He was paid in cash. He divided his pots up in cash. He took his cash to the store so that he got that direct one-to-one correspondence of what money was and the value that it had in society and ultimately in his life. And now we're at the point, super excited, that probably right after the holidays, we're going to start giving him an actual Trev's Trades paycheck that he'll have to take to the bank. And then he'll have to pull out his cash. He'll have his debit card he can use to pay for things, and just taking it to that next little step, right, for him. And I think he's ready. And I think he understands the concept now and the value of money to a certain extent. Certainly that money gets you what you want.
Yeah.
And that you have to save in order to buy more expensive things. And, all of that kind of money management, he's grasping those concepts. And so now he's going to actually go and get an actual paycheck, piece of paper. And then eventually, we'll do a direct deposit, right? We'll just kind of keep making it as a little bit more naturalistic as we can, as he understands and is ready for that next step. That's kind of our goal. So that's one of the things that we're doing behind the scenes that I think is kind of exciting for Trevor.
Yeah. It is. Definitely. It's very exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Does Trent do any of the money management or anything like that at this point?
He does not understand money. When he was at school, he went to Heart Spring, which is a school that they have the highest needs students. They are behaviorally and like verbally. Most of them are nonverbal, but so while there, he did some things with like the coffee cart. He would take the money and he could count out money and things, but he never understood it.
The concept. Yeah.
Never understood the concept. And he just doesn't have any conversational speech at all.
Okay.
And so it's very hard for him to understand anything abstract.
Sure. Sure.
And it's
and it
one
is
of those
abstract.
things
Money is a hugely abstract, right?
Yeah.
What is this piece of paper and what value does it have? Like, why do I need it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he's had a lot of training with that, but it's never stuck at all.
Yeah. Trevor had too, because that was the same kind of school Trevor was in. He was in a non-public school for individuals with higher needs. And they worked on money, but he never got the concept there. It really wasn't until he started working and he had to fill out his time card. And then we matched that with like how much he got paid every week. And then, you know, it was just those little teeny tiny steps all strung together that I think has really made a difference for that conceptual piece of it to fall into place and click with him. And Trevor has pretty decent language. He will volley a conversation and you know, that type of thing. He has some pretty significant intellectual disabilities on top of the autism that make it a little bit harder, but so that seems to work for him. If it wasn't working for him, we would have stopped and done something different, you know? So,
but that's great that he can process that and is figuring that out. I think, you know, a lot of times if you don't have a child with special needs, you don't get it. You know, you said Trevor's 24, is that right?
Yes.
And so, you know, our other kids got to be about 18 to 20, and then they moved out. And then we didn't pay for every meal they had anymore. And we didn't, you know, we go out now and they're adults and they have their own money and they do their own thing and they pay for theirs and we pay for ours. But when you have a child with, you know, special needs, then that's like, then you have a child for your whole life and you're, you know, you're still going through that. And Trent he doesn't get money. He doesn't understand that. He really struggles processing language. But to be able to get Trevor to that point where he's recognizing that and being able to, like, that's a huge thing. I'm very impressed. Good job.
Thank you.
Good job, Mom.
I think so too. I didn't know that we would ever get to that point where he would have the conceptual value of what a dollar meant. And I think there's still a disconnect about the expense of things and rationalizing, you know, how we're going to spend money.
There's a lot of neurotypical people that struggle with that too. So
right. But he gets the basics, and I think that's huge, and we'll just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And I, you know, as long as he's open to it and not resistant and it's not causing him a lot of stress and anxiety, then why not? Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that through Trev's trades, those are the kind of things that we can explore with him a little bit more, in a very supportive, tailored work environment that is built to his needs. You know, and we just started having some support staff really take a bigger role in Trev's trades, and being here with Trevor more as job coaches. And that's been really great for me because it was just getting to be too much for me to do all on my own and then still do the skill development that I want to target with Trevor and that type of thing. So we're very fortunate in that respect. We do have pretty decent support services in California. And so we're able to access some things that I know not everybody across the United States has access to. So I do feel very fortunate about that for Trevor. But kind of going back, I think you're right. Trevor and Trent are going to be with us, right? They are children for life. And they are children for life in a lot of respects. Their care needs are such that that they are going to be needing lifelong care.
Is Trevor able to use a phone?
He can use a phone. I don't give him a phone. We tried a phone. He was, I think he could manage it if I wanted to manage it very intently to begin with. I don't have the bandwidth to do that right now. So we did try a phone, and basically it became, he would just randomly punch in numbers and call all kinds of people and just start having random conversations with people.
Does he understand how to call like 911 if something happened to you?
Oh yeah. So he knows my phone. So he will often ask, can I call grandma? Can I call papa? Can I call? Can I call? And I'm like, yeah, take my phone and call. And he can totally, he does voice to text. So he'll say, call papa, and it'll call papa. Call grandma, and it'll call grandma. And I didn't know how much he really understood about it. I knew he could do it when I was there, but we were out walking one day, and I had the dog and I had Trevor. It was just us, and the dog pulled, and I caught my foot, and I went down. And I smashed the whole front of my face. I mean, I just took a face plant into the concrete, broke off all my front teeth. It was horrible, right? And so here I am with Trevor. I can't talk. I can't move really. And I handed Trevor my phone, and he's like, oh, and because he knew
he was excited.
He knew I was hurt, right?
Yeah.
And so he actually called my mom.
Wow.
Could tell my mom what corner we were on, and she came and got us.
That's great
amazing.
Problem solving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, talk about crazy. I didn't know he could do that. And so that was pretty impressive to me. So he definitely would love to have a phone, but it's the management of the phone that is the problem.
Yeah.
And the internet is a problem on the phone. And
and I just asked because that's one thing that is a struggle for us. Like Trent's never alone, but if something were to happen to the person with him, he cannot use a phone. He doesn't. We've tried to teach him just to push like one button to call dad if he needed to. I can't explain it to him. He can't understand it. You know, so I'm thankful that for one, there's two of us, and also like people come in and out of our house all the time because of the business. So, if something were to happen, hopefully another person would come along soon. But that's one of those things I wish he could grasp, was just how to call, and he wouldn't even have to say anything. If he could just call 911.
Right.
Like, how do you teach that without him practicing calling 911?
That's a good point, actually.
There's
an app to teach them 911. I have heard of that. Yeah.
And that's what I used with Trevor to begin with, was this app that we have. And it would dial, you had to dial in the app 911, and then it would say, the operator would come on and talk, and that kind of thing. And then there would be this pause long enough for you to respond. And then they would respond back like what they would normally respond, but it was very, it was all scripted, of course, and it wasn't a live anything. And I tell you what, that app was really interesting to watch Trevor work through it. And then once he learned the script, he was like, Mom, there's nobody here.
Well, and the problem we would have then would be how to transfer that to a real phone when in a real situation.
Real situation.
Like he would still go to the app.
Well, I think like we thought maybe Trent would get it if we did like FaceTime or something.
Oh, yeah.
So that he could understand like there's another person there that you're.
Sure.
No, he just does not.
Does
not compute. Doesn't get it.
Okay.
Well, it's always like, how did you get them in that little rectangle?
How are they on this little square?
Yeah.
It's so funny because, when he's with me and Easton while mom and dad are gone, I'll be like, okay, like one time we might FaceTime them just so he can see them.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
But he kind of just like stares.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's mom and dad. And they'll start talking. Hi, Trent, how's your day? And he's like, good.
Yeah.
But his face is like
totally.
He might think it's a video.
Confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he does have an iPad and it has data on it. So he can get online anytime. He searches anything he wants. He does, he's on YouTube and he does like all of these things.
Oh, that's great.
But he doesn't want to watch himself. Like he never wants to watch his own videos.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I'll show him when he'll act a little interested, but he really doesn't care.
Yeah. But he does very good with that. Like he manages that very well. And he likes cartoony things. And so he searches for cartoon stuff on Google or in YouTube or whatever. And, we've found that he's stumbled into things that he shouldn't be looking at because they're ridiculous people who put nasty, trashy stuff on the, like just trying to get people sucked in. Yeah.
Something.
Ridiculous. Right. But he does really good. We see those things. We go, okay, that's an inappropriate thing. You can't look at that. And he stops. Like he just doesn't go back. So
he's good with boundaries. Like
rules.
Very
good. Yeah.
Like, I can do this, but I can't do this.
Oh, that's really good. That's really
so
good.
he handles that. So he has his iPad and he's with it. He's got his iPad wherever he is right now. But yeah, the phone just it's so weird. Like I don't understand why he.
Well, it has to do with language.
Gets the iPad so well. Yeah. Phone. We tried to text him. Like he has text on his iPad. We can text him and stuff. Yeah, it doesn't. He doesn't. He just swipes it up. If it pops up, he just swipes it up. He doesn't care.
We'll type like, hi, Trent. And he
like, yep, no, don't.
He's like, no, thank you.
Oh, no, yeah. I don't want to talk in person. I'm not going to talk on that.
Yeah.
See, Trevor is the complete opposite. You give him a phone and he's going to call and just.
Yeah.
Well, he just has that language that Trent doesn't have. So
yeah.
He does. And I think that very early on, we realized that even through the autism, Trevor had a real drive for social interaction with people. Now, he can't really sustain it very long. And it really has to be more on his terms of what he is interested in and what he likes and that type of thing. But that initial connection is very motivating for him. And he has a huge drive to be around and connect with other people. And so I think that that's been one of his strongest traits is that desire to connect with people. And so, our family has been spread out and kind of closer together and, this kind of effect for a while. And so it allowed him to keep in contact with different people. And that was very motivating to him. So I think that that's kind of how he got the concept was, calling his aunt and uncle or, that type of thing, or FaceTiming with them and that desire to have that connection.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. Are you going to say something, Tristen?
I have a question in my head, but you go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, it's okay. I was just going to ask, about like Trent's hours. Sorry, Trevor's hours. Making soap. I'm pretty sure there's like a waiting period in this, like you have to let it cure or something. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but if you'll explain
the process,
what his hours look like, I guess.
Sure. So there's two different questions in that. So the soap making process, there's two types. Well, there's multiple types of soap you can make. So with Trevor, because to make it all from scratch, where you start with all the oils and you do your chemical reaction together, is a very caustic, and you can burn yourself, and it can be really, you know, you can injure yourself very significantly.
Yeah.
So Trevor will do up to a certain amount on those kind of soaps. He'll do all the measuring, all the pouring, but then when it comes to like actually all the mixing with the chemical reactions, because there is a chemical reaction in soap, I do that part. So he's outside. He's not even in the soap room when that's happening, because Trevor does have some behavioral issues. And, you know, if he were to get overstimulated or upset and tip something over, even accidentally, that could really be a dangerous thing for him and other people. So, but there's also another process, and it's called melt and pour soap, where you buy a base together so that chemical process has already been done for you. And so we do both. And Trevor will primarily work with the more melt and pour type soaps, where he is doing all the creation, the designs, that type of thing. And that's a very safe process for him. Yes, you have to get everything pretty warm, but it's not warm enough that it's going to burn you. I guess if he were to tip over the entire vat, that would be problematic, but I don't think he's strong enough to tip over the big things. You know, I wouldn't be strong enough to tip him over. So, you know, that kind of thing. So he does the soap process. There's just different things within the soap process. With his hours that he works, because we do this in our home, we've converted the garage into his soap studio. And this is his workspace. So every morning we write up a schedule, and he'll have 3 or 4 items on his schedule that are his work day. And, he'll come in and he'll usually work. Some days it's an hour. Some days it could be 3 hours. But every day he is working. And so there's some consistency with that. Typically it's about a 2-hour time frame, and then we take a break. He'll come back in, and like in the afternoon, and maybe do another hour or so. But that's about the duration of his actual work time. Now, he loves to reply to his social media posts. So a lot of times you'll see any picture on there is Trevor doing it. So he'll sit with me on the couch, and we'll go through.
I wish Trent could do that. There's so many.
Oh my goodness.
Trevor would much rather do that than be filmed. He does not enjoy being filmed.
Wow.
And so that's taken us a lot, and he's very stiff. Like his little personality doesn't really come out. Occasionally it does, but he's pretty stiff. He does not like to have, he's just not as comfortable with that. He does it, and he's fine with it, and he's getting better and better at it. But he would much rather be on the back end and be the responder to things. So he'll do a lot of voice to text on the social media posts. And so we spend a lot of time doing that. I don't necessarily count those as work hours, because we're kind of sitting in the other room, but there's always things like that throughout the day that are happening for him. So it kind of depends on the day. And, you know, when we're shipping, we have a couple wagons, and we'll put everything in the wagon, and then we walk it to the post office. It's about a mile away.
Nice.
So, you know, here comes Trevor down the road with his packages. He's waving at all the cars.
The neighbors
so cool.
know him.
Yeah. Aww.
That's nice though. And he also gets some exercise.
Yes. Yeah. So, and, you know, walking to the post office, we don't really count that as hours, but yet he's out there delivering his packages to the post office. I could schedule a post office pickup or take them ourselves. And if we have too many, we'll take them in the car, of course. But if we can pile up a couple wagons and go, that's what we do. It gets them out. Yeah. And it lets people know who he is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
in our community. And we moved here about 1.5 years ago. And so with our move, that's been really hard for Trevor, because we had been at our other house for 17 years.
Wow.
So that was a big move. And now we're kind of more rural, which we love, but it's different.
So it's a small town?
Very small community. Yeah, very small. So we lived in, kind of Orange County area before, in LA or in Southern California, very metropolitan, not an open field anywhere kind of thing. And now we're surrounded by these big open mountains and fields, and there's cows at the end of our street, and there's so, which is lovely. And he loves that. So his work hours kind of vary, but typically 2 to 3 hours a day. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Good. Last time I had Trent work, he worked 10 minutes and he was staring at the timer the whole time.
So he does all the drawings, but he doesn't necessarily do the packaging and that type of thing.
We posted a video yesterday, I think it was. We have his new Christmas cards have been selling really well, and so I had him go through about 400 envelopes, and he counted them out in stacks of 25 for those packages, and so he did that with no problems. He was happy. He was fine to do it, happy to do it.
Yeah, but it has to be short spurts of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have the patience to.
He's much more the diva. He's just he's doing his art, and he's like, the rest of you peasants work for me.
Yeah.
And
he sits in his recliner and watches everybody work around him. Yeah.
So,
and he's a little bit here too. Yeah.
He's completely happy with that. He's like, he goes downstairs where like you have it in your garage. Like our whole house is taken over. Like there's no place for anything anymore. It's
every bedroom has,
which is why we're moving. Like we realized a while back, like Trent his anxiety level just seems to be higher than normal. And we kind of talked about it for a while, and it was like, oh my goodness, wait a minute. There's no place in the house where he can go and just be at home, because there's stuff everywhere and there's employees everywhere, and we're always working on stuff. And so the new place will fix that. But so the basement, or the man cave, which was supposed to be our football watching location, is now completely taken over. And so he will go down there and sit in the recliner while all the worker bees, run around and fill orders and do all that stuff. And he lets them.
It will be different when we have the business separate from our house, because then when he's at the business, he'll have some tasks to do, and he won't be able to just go watch TV or whatever, go to his room. So
it'll be very different, because when he's at home, he'll be home. When he's at work, he'll be at work. But we're also building a little apartment for him at the house. So he's going to have a bedroom, a bathroom, and a little living room space where he can go. And it's going to be a big deal for all of us, I think. But especially, he's got these little nieces and nephews popping up all over the place around him.
Yeah,
and,
popping up.
He kind
like
of
flowers.
Like, sometimes he acts like we'll tolerate him for a while. Sometimes he doesn't. So he'll be able to go to his apartment, and everybody will know like that's his place.
I think he's running laps upstairs.
I think so too.
Yeah. We can hear him running.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be great. Now, will the shop then also be on the same property, like next to the house, or two separate locations?
No, they'll be separated by about 10 or 15 feet, and we'll have a walkway, a covered enclosed walkway between them.
But for a while, we'll just have the shop built, and then we'll sell our house after a little bit and build the other house.
It's a huge
for a little bit, we'll be separated.
Process. We're not super like we didn't know what we're doing.
Pretty scary.
We were pretty happy we just moved in. I don't know how many, 5 years ago, 4 years ago,
7.
7? Really?
Well, 6.
Time flies.
18.
Anyway, We just
Right
moved
after
into
we
this
got
house.
married.
We thought it could be the house that we just always have. And then all this stuff happened.
Joke's
and,
on you.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. How long have you been doing drawings by Trent then?
Well, it took off on social media 3 years ago.
3 years.
So for 3 years, we've been doing it consistently on
Yeah.
on the daily. Prior to that, it started maybe in
15 or 16,
2015 or so.
Okay.
But
And
again, we didn't know what we were doing. So we kind of started, and the one video we had went viral, and
the
then
trampoline video.
we had people buying
And
stuff,
we
and
got
then it
it-
just died out.
We gained about 40,000 followers on Facebook from that trampoline video. And then it just stayed there for years because we didn't know.
Yeah.
We didn't know you had to post every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we didn't know they wanted to see him draw all the time, you know.
Right.
Well, and there was lots of transitions in our,
Oh, yeah,
again, we have 3
lots.
other children. So we had kids getting married and we moved. I mean, there's a lot of things happening.
Sure. Sure.
So it's kind of hard to manage all that. And,
Yeah.
and now we still work and then come home and then work for Trent. So
Oh, yeah.
people go,
I've gone
oh,
half
you're,
time though. I only work a couple days
Yeah.
a week.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
have my
she's
other
had to cut
job.
down. Yeah. It's funny. People go, oh, you're exploiting your son. And we're like, he works 30 seconds a day. And the rest of it, he's like a slave driver. The rest of us are working constantly.
Yep.
Like, I don't know how that happens, but
We've gotten a couple comments like that too. And I've been, usually I don't even respond. Occasionally
Yeah.
I get a little bee in my bonnet and
yeah.
Yeah.
have to say something.
That
but-
happens to me first thing in the morning. I can't respond to people first thing in the morning because I just want to rant.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know why.
I'm kind of the same. But the reality is, I'm the same way. Like there's no financial benefit coming my way, but boy, do I work a full-time job and then some in Trev's trades, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, if you people only knew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a family, get rich scheme on the back of a person with a disability. Like,
Yeah. People who say
know.
those things, I feel like they don't know anything about small business.
yeah.
All the expenses we have.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh.
mean, it's crazy.
Well, and
Yeah.
for years we did drawings by Trent when it wasn't making any money, and we just put it all on the credit card, and then spent years and years trying to pay it off, and
Yeah.
but nobody just don't see that, but
Right. They don't see that piece, right?
We are very fortunate at this point that we do have some employees, some part-time employees, and I am able to supplement my income since I went part-time
Good.
at my other job. And, so things are moving in the right direction, but it still costs a lot of money to run a small business.
Yeah.
Anybody with a small business
Yeah.
knows that.
Right. It does. I mean, you think, oh, okay, I'm making so much per item, but the reality is you're not making
Yeah.
anywhere near that.
yeah.
So
Well,
we
and we
definitely understand that.
yeah, and you want to grow it, right? That's why would you have a business if you didn't want to grow it? And so
Right.
you're growing that business, and then all of a sudden, like we gotta pay a company to keep track of all the taxes in all the other states that we have to pay taxes in because we meet their whatever nexus, and then we gotta
Mhm.
you gotta do payroll taxes, and you gotta do what
Now we have an ad guy and
I mean,
an
they're just
accountant.
every time you take that other step, there's all these other things that come in with it. You're
yeah.
like, wait a
Right.
minute.
See, and we're not there yet.
Just
some of
learning.
the things for sure we're there, but we're not paying anybody to help us right now.
Yeah.
He gets a job coach from the regional center, which is part of our disability support services here in the state of California.
Nice.
But he would have that wherever he worked, right? And so he gets it here because his job is here.
Yeah.
And the reality is that I don't know of I think it would be extremely unlikely that we would be successful in a traditional job setting or environment, right? There's a lot of scaffolding that goes on that allows this to work for Trevor.
Yeah.
And I'm sure for Trent too, there's, that nobody sees, nobody understands that piece, right? They see the the 30-second clip or the 2-minute clip or video or whatever. And they don't understand the depth that it takes to get to even that video.
Right.
And so, we're not, I wish we could say we were raking in the dough.
Right.
I mean, this single mom over here could really use some. But
I mean, you're rich in soap, right?
We are rich in soap, let me tell you. Yes, we are. And I will say that, the business does sustain itself, but there's not extra. There's no vacation money out of the business. There's not even a paycheck for me, right? And there is for Trevor, because there should be. But other than that, it's all just sustaining what we're doing.
Yeah.
And just to even have the opportunity for him to understand meaningful employment and to learn those skills around working and have that self-worth. I mean, that's what motivates me. It's certainly not money. It's certainly not anything else. It's that Trevor has value and he has something that he perceives and that other people perceive as value from him. Yeah. And when we're at the line at Lowe's or wherever we happen to be, and he whips out his business card because he wants to talk to somebody and this is his bridge, right? And he just whips out his business card and he goes, and he's in their face, I have a small business. I have a business. This is my card. Do you want me? We need to work on this one a little bit. And the people are like, okay, that's really great.
Well, I think that you've said some really great things here with us. Just it's an encouragement to people to go, one step at a time in a lot of those life skills, and that it's not too late. You said he was out of school before he grasp the concept of money and
and I firmly believe that. I think we are all lifelong learners, right? And we all are. I mean, I know I am, and I know that as I learn new things, I think Trevor can too. And you hear so much of the 0 to 5, those are the pivotal years, and then if they don't read by this time or if they don't do this by this time, and I'm like, I get that, but at the same time, there's still opportunity for growth. There's still opportunity for, maturity to happen, concepts to be formulated, understanding to happen. And I think that's what I choose to focus on. And that's what I choose to find joy and excitement in and celebrate for Trevor. And for all of our young adults and adults with disabilities that are trying to navigate this very complicated world that is not designed for them. Or sometimes not even tolerant of them.
Everybody learns at a different pace. And especially for our guys who aren't in that 25th to 75th percentile of normal or whatever, their pace is very different.
It is. And
they'll continue to grow for the rest of their lives. I mean, we all should.
Right.
But their growth will look different.
And I think that's okay, right? And we need to make that okay. Right. There is joy and there is excitement and there is accomplishment that can be celebrated and should be celebrated. Trevor still wants to go trick-or-treating with the neighborhood kids. Okay.
That's awesome.
Right?
Trent never wanted to. Never.
Well, Trevor
made him do it when he was little.
Stay home with Grandpa.
Really too old to go, right? That's when Trevor decided he wanted to go.
I'm sure no one minds at all.
No.
They don't care. The kids
he learned that money thing, and then the candy, candy's just money, right? So
free candy.
Right. There you go. So it's just finding that joy. I think that's the key, right? We just have to find joy and happiness in what we can, because it's really easy to get bitter and angry. And really, what does that do for us?
Yeah.
And then what does that do for a person that's with us for life? If we can't find that joy, how are they going to find that joy? Certainly doesn't mean it's not easy and doesn't come with a lot of challenges, but focus on the positive.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about ready to wrap up. Mom and Dad, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
I don't know. Just good job. I mean, you've done well, and I think you know, as it continues on social media, and that's really cool that Trevor will interact and stuff. I think that's huge. But lots of stuff you said. There's some really excited for him and for his future and what that means, and that, you know, you think about the whole trajectory of his life could be changed, and so that's pretty amazing.
Well, and with your name, Trev's Trades, you know, if he gets sick of soap, you could do anything.
You could do anything. Yeah.
Like you could make jewelry. You could do anything.
Well, that's when we started. We didn't know. So we were leaving it pretty open-ended. And then as we've gone through these entrepreneurs classes, they're like, no, you have to change the name. It has to say soap. And I'm like, we're just going to leave it. Like, it's good.
It's fine. And you know what? The soaps, we got the Halloween bundle, and they were so cute.
So cute.
Oh my goodness. They're just so perfect. Yeah. And we actually shared them with our employees too.
Oh, good. So, good. I'm glad to hear that. Trevor takes his Drawing by Trent tumbler that we bought, the really bright, colorful one.
Different, not less.
Oh, yeah.
Different, not less. Yes.
Yeah.
And he takes that to his adaptive sports program. And so we were sitting there the other day, and it was water break, and all the young adults come over because it's for adults. So they come over, they're drinking their water bottle, they go leave, and, you know, here are all us parents that are, you know, sitting in the stands with gray hair and getting old. Watching our kids that are now young adults out there. And one of the moms saw the bottle, and she's like, oh my gosh, that's the best bottle. Where did you get that? And it went all the way down the row, and then it came all the way back. And so the whole place knew about Trent, because I'm like, oh, let me tell you, you guys have to follow this young man.
Cool.
And so, but it was just, you know, it's just those kind of small moments, right? Those small moments that make a community and make a connection.
Yeah.
And
thanks for sharing, Trent, with your friends. That's really cool.
Oh, of course. Of course. We always do. But it was just interesting because it just, you know, that's, I think, the nature of the disability community too, right? Is that we're all interested in what other people are doing.
Yeah.
And I think we all see that value and that success, and we celebrate it.
Yeah.
Because we know.
This is just really fun. We had a lady from the Netherlands who placed an order, and she was coming to New York. Okay. So she's going to be in New York for like these specific 5, 6, 7 days. I don't remember. And she was very adamant. Like, you've got to mail this at the right time, so it gets to my hotel, you know, while I'm there, because shipping to the Netherlands is way too expensive. So we shipped it. I think she got into her hotel, got off her plane, got into her hotel. It was waiting for her at the desk when she got there. And she was so excited. Well, then she wore the shirt. I don't remember what shirt she got, but she wore the shirt one of the days that she was in New York. Walking down the street in New York, somebody saw it and stopped her and commented on it. Like, I know Trent, you know, or I follow Trent. So she messaged us and was telling us about it. And what we're like, that's just so cool. This blows your mind.
Amazing. Yeah. See, I love those stories, right? Those little moments of connection and little moments of, like, we never know, these little seeds that we're putting out there. We don't know what they're going to do for somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's important. And I think that just those sparks of joy between her and whoever she saw this, like, I know him, right? And instant community.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, you know, those two people may not have anything else in the world that they could connect over.
Correct.
Like, they might be on opposite sides of every other issue, but that one, you know, is just pretty cool to see.
That is cool. And the fact that you can even ship to the Netherlands, we haven't figured out how to ship outside of the United States. Whew.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a great, big, huge pain in the rear. But
what do you use for shipping?
We use through our website. They have so it's called Shippo. I don't know if you're familiar with that particular platform, but they have through our website. We have they have that as one of the options, and it's for us. It's one of the better options, just because their prices for more weight orientated things are better than other like FedEx or that kind of thing. And so soap is heavy.
Yeah.
Soap costs a lot to ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
Soap is, you send 5 bars of soap and, or whatever, you send a box of soap, it's heavy.
Yeah.
And so if you're paying, it's a lot. And so, so the shipping has been a whole nother issue. I wish we could do free shipping. We just can't absorb that cost.
Yeah.
Because it is so heavy. We do a flat rate, but
we always talk about everything in terms of, well, how much is this going to be to ship?
Right.
So we're like, oh, well, but if we do this, then we're going to like the Christmas bundle. We were talking about the Christmas bundle that we've got. We're like, I'm like, well, that's going to be $9 at least to ship in the, in the closer even US places. So yeah, it's funny how that, and what platform do you use for your store? What platform do you use for your store?
Right now we're on Wix. It was just what my niece set us up with, 3 years ago. We've since redone the website and worked with my niece that works in an ad agency, and she was able to create a really beautiful website.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the platform we're on. There might be better ones. I'm not sure, but that's just where we are. Do you guys, what platform are you on, or do you have your own?
We use the Shopify.
Oh, Shopify
platform. And so we started, I think we first started, we had a Square and it just, it did not do what we wanted it to do.
Yeah.
But Shopify manages the website and inventory and shipping and all that stuff for the price we pay. So it's worked out very good, but yeah, we're always interested in who's doing what and how they're doing it. And
that's what Shippo or Wix does the same thing. Right.
Yeah.
And so we can run all kinds of reports off Wix. We can break down all the costs, all the differences, all of that kind of stuff. They have a whole, we do all of our emailing through them, although I'm not very proficient at the emails. I got to get better at that. It's just like one more thing to get done.
Yeah, I know.
But it all comes through that same platform.
Yeah,
so I'm
good.
Assuming that yours is pretty similar then.
Yeah.
With that. So, but I don't know, cost per things if it's, because it's all expensive, right? Because you have to pay
everything costs.
And then if the credit card fees and all of that kind of stuff, it's just, who knew? But it just all adds up. It just does. And so it's a lot, but, and we keep learning and we keep finessing and we keep figuring it out. And I'm sure we're making all kinds of mistakes that we shouldn't be making, but.
Well,
us too.
I was talking to somebody a while back and I made that statement just like him. Like, we're not business people. We did not set out to be business people. We're not entrepreneurial people. Like, I'm making all of these things like excuses for, like, I wish we were better at that. And I don't remember who I was talking to, but they basically just was like, they were like, dude, stop. Like, you may not think you know what you're doing, but you've created a business for your son and you're doing, and it's successful and you have followers on social media and you got like all of these things. And I'm like, yeah, it made me kind of pause and I want to go. So I want to say that to you. Yeah. You don't know what you're doing, but hey, you're doing it. And there's 99 other people out there who are in a similar situation and haven't been able to get up off their couch and do it. So it's a lot of work and we don't know what we're doing, but you're doing it. Good job.
Thank you. And right back at you, because you guys are motivating and inspirational to us. And I watch your things and I'm like, okay, all right, that's how you do it. All right.
Yep.
Well, now you can just text me with your questions.
There you go.
Okay, I will. What do you do with this one? So
I mean, we do that with other people.
What do you do with a loud baby? You send her out with her dad.
kind of at that same stage where we had one viral post and then it kind of petered off.
Yep.
Now we're just kind of stagnant, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's okay, but it's not great, but it's not bad.
Right.
It's just kind of.
It goes in waves.
Yep.
We've learned.
Waves.
Yeah.
When we get discouraged, then all of a sudden it picks up again, and it's not a steady paycheck.
Yeah. And that we have found out for sure. So, you know, as long as we're breaking even, that's our big goal, right? We're celebrating breaking even. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you better tell us your website and stuff like that.
That's my job.
So,
Oh, I'm sorry. Tristen.
Okay.
Tristen has a question.
Okay, great. Thanks for being on. Before everybody heads out, Tia, can you let us know where to follow you on whatever social media platforms and the website people can go to buy from you guys?
Sure. So our website is trevstrades.com. And it should just pop up, typically does. And that's where all of his soaps are. And so you can look for his things. You can read more about Trevor there, get a little bit more about his backstory, that type of thing. And then we're also on Facebook, and it's Trev's Trade Soaps, where autism meets potential is our kind of our tagline. And we're on Instagram. We have gone on to TikTok also, which just seems like a lot for me, but we're doing it. And it's all just under Trev's Trades, where autism meets potential. So that's us.
That's a fantastic tagline, by the way.
Thank you.
Really
it was
good.
actually,
Really good.
it was a family tagline. I cannot take credit for it. We were sitting around discussing, and it just kind of came out. And so I'm like, that's it. We're going to do that. So and it was one of the very first things that kind of came together was the tagline. So we were like, yes, okay.
Yeah, that's great.
We felt real. So it just kind of embodies everything that we believe, and we want to set out there and just celebrate the potential in all of our individuals with disabilities, and no matter what type and what level and where you are, just celebrate you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Good.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks to Tia and Trevor for being on. Thanks for, spilling out your heart to us. We really appreciate it.
Sorry about weepy-eyed, but thank you so much for having me.
No, that's great.
Makes it real.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Cool. All right, everybody, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of Used Up Pens podcast.
This has been a new episode of Used Up Pins. Thank you so much for listening. New episodes drop every other Wednesday. Make sure to check out our Patreon, where we have exclusive merch, exclusive items and Trent drawings, a bunch more content, as well as ad-free episodes, and then also a couple extra podcasts. If you like listening to our podcast, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube if you're listening on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure to rate and review us, whether that's Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to podcasts. And then lastly, make sure to check out our store for all of Trent's art, and a bunch of other merch that all has Trent's art on it. So thank you so much for supporting the Trent family, the Landreth and Moore family, and see you next time.